Jai Hind everybody. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be invited and sharing my thoughts on these challenges of energy and sustainability. And that's my name, Sudhakar, and you have my contact email, phone number, and my address. This Harita Association for Learning from Environment indicates our firm belief that our nature is one of the best teachers to us, and that still is the source of knowledge. And that's where the school education should begin from and aim to understand the environment around us. Now, as I said when I introduced myself, many young friends have joined. Even though I started my career in electronics in IIT Delhi way back in '73, and I was there up to '84, I quit to seek two dreams, two facets of my dream. One is in making a difference in school education, and the second one is to try and find a way of building homes with whatever can be grown in under 10 years. Because my civil engineering colleagues of those times from IIT Delhi ridiculed the idea. Sudhakar, forget it, India is not going to have wood. Meaning that India is not going to have trees. That I thought is horrible. And there was a great movement for greening of the vast wastelands of this country, deforested lands. And we had some 140 million hectares of wastelands to be greened. And such a massive task of greening millions and millions of hectares of wasteland cannot be done on philanthropy. The very act of greening these wastelands, has to be economically self-sustainable. Otherwise it just falls through. So it occurred to me that of the wood that is available from the trees, if you use it as fuel, let's say for every unit mass of wood, you get 1 rupee as a return. If the same wood were to be used as a fiber, pulp, for example for paper, you can get about 3 to 5 rupees. And on the other hand, if the same wood is to be used as timber for building homes, houses, the same unit of mass of wood can fetch anything from 10 to 30 rupees. So that's the enormous difference between the value of wood used as a fuel versus pulp versus timber. True. Not every piece of wood that comes from every tree is useful as timber, but virtually every piece of wood that comes is useful as fuel. But there should be a mix of whatever a tree produces, at least the wood part. Some part will be useful as timber. What is not useful as a timber could be used for fiber. And what is not even useful to produce fiber can definitely go in for fuel. So there should be a holistic mix. It's not that you grow millions of hectares of land only for energy, for burning. It's not that we use only them for paper pulp, or it's not that we use trees only for timber. It should be a holistic mix, optimized well. So that was where I took off when I left IIT Delhi in 1984 in setting up our Harita Association for Learning from Environment. And finally it led me to where I am today. All these issues of using wood for timber for houses are interrelated. You got to have people for whom the role model of a house is a timber house. Now, who live in houses made of wood and walls built of earth? The poor people. And where do the rich people live? In RCC buildings. And that's what our environmental science text in 2nd and 3rd grade tells. Very poor people live in huts made of thatch roof and earthen walls. Somewhat rich people live in burnt brick walled houses with burnt clay tiles. And rich people live in RCC buildings. This is what we are giving as role model to our young children in the schools. So what do they look forward to? Do they ever look forward to living in thatched houses with mud walls? What do they care about what happens to ecology? So the same question was faced by me when we demonstrated the bamboo technology. The bamboo technology to build a 6-meter span hall, and went on requesting my colleagues in IIT Delhi, hey, come on. Almost all our RCC roofs can take the lightweight bamboo hall right on the rooftop. Why don't we build that? Use it for halls, for assembly. If nothing else, the roof below will get the benefit of a cool comfort in summer and a warm comfort in winter. You know, even now, the student hostels in IIT do not have air conditioning systems. So the top floor is literally a oven. The students who live in top floors of RCC buildings, I'm sure some of you would be residing in them, we won't, you know, only when you join the first you only get the top floor rooms, and as you become senior, you go down. Okay. Now, can't we give some relief to the students and save the energy in the air conditioning systems or thermal comfort? Yeah, the idea looks great, but no bamboo structures in IIT Delhi. They are meant for poor people in the villages, man. Bamboo is meant only for rural housing, not for urban housing. Now, I had to fight a battle in IIT Gandhinagar when they were named as the nodal center for rural housing. I first objected to that statement, rural housing. What do you mean, rural housing? Do urbanites come from somewhere else, from some other planet? You call housing, that's it. You talk of housing for a 20-year lifespan, or 50-year lifespan, or 100-year lifespan, or 1,000-year lifespan. Don't talk of rural housing, urban housing. But that seems to be falling in deaf ears. The ideal of every political party in this country mostly is to promise RCC buildings, double bedroom buildings, multi-story buildings, only of RCC. And the common folk will ask, साहब लोग, आपका RCC बिल्डिंग है, हमको तो ये बैम्बू का बिल्डिंग क्यों दे रहा है? ये बैम्बू का बिल्डिंग तो हमारा एजेस से हम उसी में रह रहे हैं. I mean, we are used to living in these dirty, ugly looking, or every year maintained bamboo houses for ages. Why are you throwing these things to us? So this is the problem. So that's why we found, for any development to be inclusive, equitable, and sustainable. I had difficulty in defining what is sustainable. I found so many ways of understanding sustainability. But finally I thought, whatever is not natural cannot be sustainable. Maybe it is my implicit faith. And Harita, meaning greenery, is a representative of that word natural there. So that should be the focus of our development. And I'm starting from where I am today, where I have reached today, and how I got to this. If you have be patient, I will go through. Now, the first thing that we should ask for ourselves is what is our measure of civilization? Now, I believe I make an earnest appeal to most of the youngsters here that it has to be, there ought to be a measure of civilization where you look out for only renewable resources, that too local renewable resources in meeting our needs. And in that process, let's not fall for the convenient, cost-effective, and aesthetic. These are the three common words. Damn it, we must have some convenience of using it. Then, it has to be cost-effective. Third, it has to be aesthetic. So, we have become intolerant to anything which is not convenient. Even a couple of minutes of inconvenience puts us off. And a couple of bucks extra cost, a small 10%, 15% extra cost puts us off. We don't care. Even if it amounts to a disaster in ecology. Even if it, what's going to happen 50 years down the line, 100 years down the line? Today we are interested in our profits this quarter. The next quarter we have to show profit. Otherwise our company doesn't exist. Our economy is going to collapse. And for politicians, the next election is our deadline. What is the end of the day? 5 years down the line. On the election day, it is the end. We have to show the results. Who cares what happens after that? So, unfortunately, all is well that ends well is misrepresented. Because what is the end? The end for a corporation is only quarterly results. The end for a politician is a 5-year or a 4-year election term. But the proverb is there in virtually all the cultures, and the end there is the ultimate end. As my colleague Vijayji had said, we want our grandchildren to have pure water, pure air. End doesn't mean end of my life or end of your life, youngsters. The end should keep in mind end of generations to come. So are we doing things? Are we willing to take that extra minute of inconvenience? Are we willing to spend that extra 10% cost or 15% cost? Are we willing to put up with a little bit of degradation in so-called beauty and aesthetics that we are brainwashed with? To stick to the renewable resource, and that to the local renewable resource. That's where the problem lies, and unless we address that issue, we will end up going round and round in circles and not find a working solution. At least our basic needs are in 4 primary sectors. I would like to highlight the water, the food, the shelter, and energy. All these 4 are basic core sectors without which humanity cannot sustain itself. And the second tag that you may find, some of my friends would find in my email, land. It's a tangible natural resource. It's usually called invaluable. It doesn't mean its value is 0. We use that word invaluable to mean infinity. With 0 depreciation for all non-agrarian uses, mark my words, land has 0 depreciation only for non-agrarian uses. For pure agrarian use, land gets degraded. Its useful life will become only 4 or 5 years. After that, its utility becomes 0. If you don't plug in fertility back into the soil, its use for agricultural purposes is only of limited life. But what about non-agrarian use, such as to hold this building, such as the road on which all our fast-moving traffic moves? For that land use, which is not agrarian, the land life is infinity. For that, the land life is infinite. So there is a big difference between non-agrarian use and agrarian use. For non-agrarian use, the useful life of land is virtually infinity. So the concept of depreciation doesn't happen. When we apply the depreciation principle as the present cost divided by the total useful life. Remember that the denominator total useful life cannot be infinity. If it is infinity, it doesn't matter what the present cost is, its depreciation per year is going to be zero. That's what is happening when land is allowed to be owned for non-agrarian uses. And this is a fundamental flaw in the costing or economics of even the free market. And people somewhere down the past 250 years of modern industrialization have overlooked this and allowed the land for non-agrarian use to be owned by businesses, non-agrarian purposes. Fundamental economics doesn't necessarily require that land as a resource of producing something has to be owned. Machines need not be owned, they can be leased. Humans cannot be owned, unlike 300 years ago or 250 years ago. Our young friends may not know that slave bonds were sold in the free European markets only about 200 years ago. To produce the sugar factories, the raw material, slaves were captured from African continent and sold to the sugar farmers in the American continent. And the profits are enjoyed by the world capitalists. So slave labor, owning persons, was allowed in those days. But today, no country, no culture agrees that humans can be owned. So on the same platform that we treat humans, that they cannot be owned, I humbly make this appeal, that the land should not be allowed to be owned for any non-agrarian use. I'm not against using land for non-agrarian use. By all means use it, but pay lease for it. That would address a humongous amount of problem of farmers losing the land. If the farmer owner of the land gets lease revenue year after year for generations in proportion to the existing market rate of the land, then the farmers would be far better off. And that would also ensure that the land user for non-agrarian use, he will have to return the land in the future generation in the state that he took it. Supreme Court ordered that the land that was taken over in West Bengal for the Tata's nano plant had to be returned in its virgin form. It was already filled with 2 to 3 meters of useless dust, stone dust and ash. So as per the Supreme Court order, the government of West Bengal or whoever it is, who put that meters thick useless dust on the fertile lands had to be removed and handed over back to the farmers. So if the land were only to be leased, people who put poisons in the land would have to deposit the money to clean up that land. It becomes a right. But if the land is allowed to be owned, अरे भाई ये हमारा हो गया, क्या हम उसको क्या, whatever we do, it is my right because it's my money. Who are you to ask? Because it's not a living entity. If I kill my pet, people will look at me, will curse me, because it is a living entity. But land is not a living entity in their minds. It's a dead thing, that's it. So even if I kill it with poisons, who are you to ask? This is the reason. Or we don't know how to evaluate how to extract them, how do we make them pay for the land degradation, land poisoning. These are the issues that are not resolvable immediately. But the moment land is not allowed to be owned, it is only allowed on lease, then every year the watchdog groups can keep track of the quality of the land and demand a certain proportion of the money to be set aside for restoring the land to its original glory. Okay, so that is one of the most important economic fallacies of the present day development paradigms I would like to submit for the consideration of our youngsters and elders alike. Next. So there is a, the video here, the first one, can you play? Yeah, I will just run. There's a small YouTube video. I hope we'll have fast enough connection to run that. Yeah. Okay, so that's apparently a flat pack and it is opened out. It's a real-time video, not edited. You have to take my word for it. In just about a minute, the basic frame of an emergency shelter would be ready, and that becomes stable the moment you have cross rods, cross bamboos on either side. This is on the front side that you are seeing, and there will be two more at the back side. I hope you get a gist of what's happening there. It's a very simple bamboo structure. Because it is flat pack, it can be transported in the prefabricated form over substantial distances. But most of these local renewable materials are best used in the local area. They are not meant to be transported from across the country or across continents. Assam is very rich in bamboo, but if I have to transport the Assam bamboo to Andhra Pradesh, it becomes no deal, because you're mostly transporting air. Next. Yeah. Now when we say energy, it is not just solar energy. We have been living in harmony with the cattle for a long period of time, several thousands of years. And yeah, can you see that is a bullock cart? The tires, pneumatic tires are in the bullock cart have a differential. So when the bulls pull the cart, the differential, the tires drive the differential, and the RPM at the output of the differential is about 150 already. And it can be jacked up to a couple of more hundreds, or about 1,000 or 1,500, where you can economically produce electrical energy. And a pair of bullocks, I have reason to estimate that if you use the state-of-the-art technology, you can produce about 1 kilowatt of distributed mobile power. And what can it do? I said, what is it that it cannot do? The last mile connectivity is the most expensive part. You could have paddy loaded into this, and as the bullocks pull a 500 kg load of paddy, it could be dehusked, and the dehusked paddy, the rice grains, could be delivered to a couple of dozens of homes. So, the last mile connectivity delivery is it's a power production, it's a food processing and delivery. All the three are combined into one. And when you combine all these three things together, then a particular day, an 8-hour work or a 10-hour work for a bullock, pair of bulls and a person could earn him a couple of thousand rupees. That's possible. Next. Yeah. I'm not here to claim that if we produce energy by driving bicycles, it will make any economic impact. But what is the price that I pay for keeping my knees intact, my health intact? It's not decided by a couple of watt hours of energy that I produce. Maybe if I exercise vigorously for 1 hour, and I will produce 150 watt hours, its cost may be less than 1 rupee. So it's nothing to me. It's not even the cost of a cup of tea. But the health benefit I get is enormous. So that is what we should look at when we think of such things. So our school students use this, they ride this bicycle and make idli dough and dosa dough for about 50 to 100 students. It basically takes about 13-minute to 15-minute operations and 3 cycles to meet at least for about 100 people. So, now, using bamboos in the form of a bow, there are just about 6 bamboos there supporting 20 people. I think this is the most telling demonstration of the load carrying capacity of bamboo. I'm not going into the technical details of what is the tensile strength of bamboo. The specific tensile strength of bamboo is far superior to the specific tensile strength of the best quality steel. And for every rupee of money that you spend on bamboo, you can actually carry 3 times the load that the same rupee can buy for steel to carry the same load. Now, this is what I was asking. You know, here you have on the left side a regular RCC building with the brick walls, and on the right side you have the same regular building but with a bamboo hall on the top. The heat gain of the top floor reduces, and that reduces, and the walls, the weight of the walls can be reduced by replacing the brick walls by the bamboo mat walls. And all these things are simple civil engineering calculations which demonstrate the reduction in the operation of the building's energy. And the previous ones, they reduce the energy used in making the buildings. Bamboo is a rapidly renewable resource. Every year you can harvest bamboo from every bamboo bush. And it keeps on giving new shoots this year, and these are ready to be harvested 4 years down the line. Okay, now this is another thing that is doable, and it's a very humble cycle rickshaw pedaled. You will notice that the top part, the seating part of the rickshaw is made of bamboo. Now, in the entire cost of the rickshaw, the basic frame with steel, if it costs about 11,000 rupees, that seated frame, if it is of steel, it costs another 7,000-8,000 rupees, and at the same rate, even the bamboo frames, which are made in 1 or 2 numbers, also cost the same. Which means, if the production is properly logistically organized, if then the cost of production of the bamboo frame for the cycle rickshaws would be much smaller than steel and available, and it improves the local economy. Making of the bamboos gives a livelihood, and riding the bamboos gives another livelihood. And why am I talking about cycle rickshaws when people are talking about cars? This rickshaw weighs about 30 kilograms, easily carries about 200 kg load. So, for carrying every kg of active load, its own dead weight is a tiny part of that 1 kg. But look at the smallest car that you are thinking of, it's about 800 kg. It carries just about 4 people. 4 people, about 300-400 kg weight. For 300-400 kg weight, you have to have a 1000 kg or 900 kg car. So for carrying every kg of useful load, the car dead weight is several kg, 3 to 4 kilograms. Usually the cars have only one person. So just to carry about 100 kg, you are putting 1000 kg weight machine on the road. And the road quality, the road cost, the width, the safety, they all go up, not even linearly, somewhat more than linearly with the weight of the vehicle. Because the more the weight of the vehicle, the more is the wear and tear of the road, and therefore the cost of laying the road increases, the cost of maintaining the road increases, and the space it occupies, because it travels at lower speeds, they can be very closely packed. And by simply providing an electric drive there, even a 70-year-old person can pull the rickshaw at 20 kilometers per hour. In any case, in most of the Delhi traffic, or for that matter in any Indian city traffic, the average speeds are less than 20 kilometers per hour. So, the last mile connectivity, this is conspicuous by its absence in our plans. We talk of electric autos, we talk of electric cars, electric buses, electric trains. But where is cycle rickshaw, which is electric powered? You know, I actually drove this kind of a cycle rickshaw powered by a 550 DC motor, 550 watt DC motor, but I use less than 250 watt of power to drive at about 20 kilometers per hour. No matter which way you compare it, the energy that it takes is a tiny fraction of what a car takes. The road maintenance cost is a tiny fraction. The road laying cost is a tiny fraction. But unfortunately, this entire electric rickshaw, everything put together will be less than 45,000 rupees, and it's no match to a minimum 5 lakh or 10 lakh electric car. And you know why corporations are after 10 lakh car. Why should they keep selling 45,000 rupee vehicle? That's the problem. Okay, now when people talk of solar energy, I think some people already asked for it. Solar thermal is another thing, and I agree. Our guest, another speaker, had correctly pointed out, solar thermal is also very important. And here, we imagine, I question the dogma. Why are we using the roof to keep the sunlight and rain out? Why can't we have the outer skin of the roof transparent so that it lets in sunlight but keeps the rainwater out? And once the rainwater is out, bamboo doesn't require any special protection against sunlight. Sunlight, to protect bamboo or timber against sunlight is very simple. All it requires is a small paint, thin paint. But combined with rainwater, it is deadly. No timber withstands the onslaught of rain and sun. So if you cut out the rain, any timber, pick up anything, not only bamboo, pick up any timber, it just stays for ages without much of a problem. But use that solar energy, for greenery. Grow the food, herbals, kitchen garden, rooftop. Use the wide corridors of a multi-storied RCC building, but keep the top 2 floors as bamboo structures, particularly the top floor for the greenhouse, and all the vertical gardens. They can be supported with bamboo structures without any problem, because when they are protected from rain, bamboo lasts forever. So the dream is, all these are simple technology. They are not rocket science technologies. School can be a hub of experimenting with these technologies, implementing them, using them day to day, find out what the regular problems are, go back and interact with the higher institutions, and interact with the local community, and school, in other words, becomes a local focus of the local self-governance. Why are we excluding school? School should be the hub of technology, demonstration, dissemination, and development. Children should grow in innovation. They should be challenged with the teething problems of innovative practices. And that is where government should spend money. That's a file photo of 24 feet span bamboo bow beam. Each bow has just 2 simple bamboos, Dendrocolumna strictus. Technically, they were considered not suitable for load-bearing structures, and that is the kind of structure where we are living in. And these are all different structures. These are all 23-year-old houses. We live in that house still. These are structures built and demonstrated in IIT Delhi, and that is a structure still existing in IIT Delhi. People are welcome to go and have a look at it. I think Professor Charya would be more than happy to show them. These are all file photos of the demonstration process. Things can be lifted. Yeah, that's about all. Thank you. If you permit me, sir, I would like to take the question that was originally addressed to him, and he partially answered it. Particularly, somebody seemed to have asked, what about the cook stoves? What about the biomass thermal energy? What about the solar thermal energy? Okay. Now, as I explained, on the rooftop, if we collect the solar thermal energy and use the process of what is traditionally called trigeneration, that is, the same heat that you make out of solar energy, it can be used to generate electricity, and then some waste heat comes. With that waste heat you can generate chilling on one end, and then some more waste heat comes, and that waste heat can be used for hot water. Okay, now, you see, the best coal thermal power plant barely has about 45% efficiency. What happens to the remaining 55% of the energy? It goes up into the air as heat. So a 1000 megawatt single turbine plant is throwing away about 1500 megawatt of heat into the air. What do you do with 1500 megawatt of heat? It is enough to burn down a whole village. It's not useful. On the other hand, a 5 kilowatt biothermal biomass the energy plant will generate maybe only 5 kilowatt of electricity, but it will generate about 7 to 8 kilowatt of thermal energy that can be used for hot water, that can be used for generating steam, that steam can be used for processing timber and wood. IKEA wood is very famous. All that wood is heated, is processed, and all that energy is available in the distributed form. So that is a major difference. The same thermal waste heat is a valuable resource in a 10 kilowatt plant, but it is a useless waste in a 1000 megawatt power plant. That is the difference between decentralized, distributed, small production systems versus mega